Hey guys, how we doing? So we're back on another film theory video, and this has only just recently gone up. I thought it was quite interesting. Timing, whatever, perfect. And it's another Attack on Titan one, and it's just called Film Theory, Attack on Titan's Biggest Mystery Solved. So, be interesting, I have no idea. I really liked the Don't Attack the Titans video. There's a lot of numbers and stats and stuff. Just adds to these. I think I find it quite funny. Anyway, Film Theory, Attack on Titan's Biggest Mystery Solved.
Spoiler warning for Attack on Titan.
Different one. And take that, and this, and one of those, and these.
Eren, try a Snickers! You're not you when you're hungry. Grab a Snickers.
Oh my god. What? Fair enough. Yeah, science. Film theory.
Hello, Internet.
Hi.
Welcome to Film Theory. The only show to recognize that the best way to stop a skyscraper tall titan isn't building a stronger wall, it's lining the outside of the city with Legos. Look at those bare feet. Lego's gonna be more effective
Oh,
than a
damn, that would
light
hurt.
pan. Anyway, as you can tell, today I'm taking another look at everyone's favorite action horror anime, Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Now, if you're unfamiliar, check out the last video that we did about it. Or, quite frankly, just watch the series.
Yeah.
If you're new to anime and overwhelmed by which shows you should be aware of, this is definitely one of them. It's one of those franchises that'll just remain a must-watch anime for years to come, kind of like Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist. Anyway, to give you
Wow.
the 3-sentence rundown, for 100 years, all of humanity has been living in fear, locked in cities protected by towering stone walls designed to keep out the man-eating giants known as Titans.
Yeah.
One boy, named Eren
Eren
Yeager,
Yeager.
becomes a soldier, and years later discovers that he has the ability to turn into a
one,
Titan
yeah.
at will. With Eren's new power, humanity finally has a fighting chance against their ancient enemy, but reclaiming the world will still be an uphill battle. Especially when you
gonna be
consider
tough.
that Eren tends to get kidnapped more often than Princess Peach. Now, it's no surprise that the biggest reason I love watching Attack is that it's packed to bursting with unsolved mysteries.
Yes.
Mysteries like what the heck was in Eren's basement? Why the heck would the Colossal Titan knock down the wall in the first place? And how long will this newly introduced character last before, oh wait, never mind, they just died? But there's
Yeah.
been one
That
question
happens
that's
a
been
lot.
hanging over the series since the very beginning. One that is the single biggest driving mystery of the entire plot.
Oh my God.
What exactly are the Titans? Where did they come from? Now I see you running down to the comments to shout, Titans are people! And yeah, I am very well aware that at the core of every Titan there's a human nervous system piloting it. It's like some kind of horrifying zombie flesh mech. But that doesn't tell us what they're made out of,
Oh.
what their origin is. Because while the human body can do some amazing things, one thing I'm pretty sure it can't do is suddenly grow to 20 times its size. At least, not on its own. The laws of physics are pretty clear about that one. You can't just
Okay.
create matter from nothing. So when Eren and the other humans transform into Titans, all of that Insta-Titan has to come from somewhere. Something has got to be making that happen.
Instant
and by
Titan.
analyzing the physical characteristics of the Titans, we can figure out exactly what it is, solving the show's single biggest mystery
What?
before it's ever revealed. Now, the most obviously unusual trait for the Titan is, of course, their freaky faces. But right after that, the thing that stands out most about them is their size. Excluding
Yeah.
abnormal Titans like the Colossal Titan and the Beast Titan from Season 2, Titans range in height from 4 meters to a whopping 15 meters tall, or about 13 to 50 feet. That is pretty darn
Time
enormous.
to
How big
quite
did you
tall.
get? 21 feet 65.
Stop bragging about yourself, Ant-Man. We heard you the first time. Or
I
at
like
least
that
those
movie,
of you who
Ant-Man and the
watched
Wasp was
my
good.
recent theory about Ant-Man and the Wasp heard it. And if you did, you'll remember that, due to the square cube law, increasing a human body's size by that scale dramatically changes the ratio between its weight and effective strength, making it much harder for the body to move and support itself. That's why, at 60 feet tall, Scott Lang's movements have to be so much slower and more careful. His body is supporting much more weight than it's designed to. And since Titans have bone structures that are very similar to humans, you would expect them to be a lot slower than the humans fighting them.
Right.
But that's not actually the case. In the anime, we frequently see Titans running towards their human prey and picking them up
Well,
with the precision and
prancing's
agility
the
of a regular-sized human. Even at a full 15 meters tall, Eren's Titan form is capable of breaking into a sprint and using hand-to-hand combat techniques made for a human a tenth of his size. The reason for this is explained in episode 15 by Hanji Zoa, the show's resident Titan expert. And apparently
She is.
digi-destined, if those goggles are any indication.
I cut the severed head of a 3-meter Titan out of spite. It weighed next to
Contrary to the appearance of density and great mass, the severed limbs were light as tree bark.
Despite gaining a lot of volume when they transform, Titans don't gain an equivalent amount of mass. They're lighter than they should be, which both explains how they can move so quickly and points towards an interesting conclusion. When Titans transform, some matter is being added to their bodies, but what's there is also expanding, like a balloon or a loaf of bread rising in the oven. That's the only way they could be increasing in size without also increasing proportionally in weight.
Oh,
And as
okay.
strange as it sounds, the bread comparison might not be that far off. The thing that causes bread to rise is yeast, a single-celled fungus that, to put it very simply, eats sugar.
Eating sugar? No, Papa. Telling lies.
And then poops out alcohol and carbon dioxide through a
Okay.
process called fermentation. This trait makes yeast invaluable in the production of beer and wine and has made it a vital component in baking for thousands of years. The gases created by yeast create pockets of air inside of bread dough that
This is gonna be
causes it to
interesting.
rise and gives the final baked good a light, fluffy texture. Or at least that's what I've learned from binging 5 seasons worth of the Great British Baking Show. And yeast is also what's caused the Titan epidemic in the anime. You heard that right. The true villain in Attack on Titan is a bread leavening agent. Bread is Titans! And Titans are people, so, oh god, we need to
We're
stop
bread.
Sasha before she kills again!
Oh no.
If you think that theory sounds like a stretch, well good, because that's how you activate yeast. But seriously, the yeast theory accounts for some oddly specific quirks of the physiology of Titans. Firstly, Titans are hot. And no, I'm not talking about the female Titan's exposed muscle look that leaves almost nothing to the imagination. Get your
Nice.
minds out of the gutter. I mean that the Titan bodies give off an insane amount of heat.
Heat, yeah.
The bigger they are, the hotter they tend to be. While regular Titans are hot to the touch, the colossal Titan can cook anyone trying to attack him with a burst of hot steam. And the massive Titan that Rod just transformed into in the
Yeah.
anime is so hot that trees burst into flames
Flames
just
with them,
from
yeah.
being near him. Now look at yeast. As yeast ferments, it gives off heat. It's an exothermic reaction. If the fermentation process speeds up or more alcohol is being produced, that temperature rises. Bigger sizes, faster growth, more heat.
More
With
heat.
bigger Titans, the fermentation would be happening at such great volumes and speeds that the resulting heat would cook the air around them. We can see clear evidence of this whenever a Titan is wounded or dies. As
Yeah.
their skin breaks down and
smoke
decomposes,
comes out.
massive amounts of gas are released all at once, sometimes with enough force to blow away the soldiers trying to fight them. This gas would be the CO2 that's being produced by the yeast and that's keeping the Titan bodies inflated. And then there's the way that
Oh.
Titans take in energy. Despite having a hankering for human flesh that rivals my own cravings for Diet Coke, Titans don't actually need to eat humans for sustenance. I mean, consider this. They were able to keep moving around outside the walls for 100 years, with only a few unlucky Survey Corps members to snack on. Nope, their fuel isn't humans. The only thing that Titans actually need to keep their insanely huge bodies moving is sunlight. In episode 15, Hanji proves this by covering her 2 captive Titans, Sunny and Bean, with tarps, causing them to stop moving entirely in just a matter of hours.
Yeah.
And the Titans discovered inside the walls after Aaron and Annie's wrestling match at the end of season 1 are also shown to be completely immobile due to a lack of sunlight.
Sunlight, yeah.
You know what else draws energy from sunlight? Yeast. When exposed to ultraviolet radiation from the sun or other sources, yeast becomes more active,
Whoa.
growing, reproducing, and fermenting at a faster rate than normal. If that fermentation is truly the source of the Titan's energy, that would explain why cutting them off of sunlight causes them to slow down and eventually stop moving. So ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is a classic case of yeast infection. Okay, so maybe not your classic yeast infection. And we're obviously not just talking about normal yeast. I mean, Fat Pat here eats a lot of bread, and not once has it inspired a global crisis. Just a waistline crisis. Which merits the question, is yeast just an inspiration for Titan behavior, or is it truly the cause of what we're seeing in the anime? Is there any sort of evidence that the Attack on Titan universe would have some sort of special yeast that could produce these sorts of effects? Yes. Yes, there is. It's subtle, certainly subtle enough that most viewers would probably overlook it, but it is absolutely there. In the publicly
Yeah?
available information bonus sections from the manga, which are then repurposed as commercial break eye catches for
In
the
the
anime,
anime.
there's an entire page dedicated to a unique type of yeast produced behind Wall Sina. Reading
What?
both anime and manga descriptions of it, we learn that this special yeast doesn't come as a powder, it looks like a lump of fermented soybeans the size of a human head. What's more, storing it with wheat, soybeans, or cured cured meat slows down the decomposition process, transforming the food by some means not yet explained by science. This preservation ability provided through the yeast allows for supplies to be stockpiled for future use by forces fighting to take back the walls. And while that might not seem suspicious at first, every other one of these pages is either directly relevant to the current storyline or provides vital world-building details covering topics like characters,
it's not just a random
details
throwaway.
on the walls, the history of Titan attacks, etc. And only 14 of these sorts of pages are included in the original manga. These aren't throwaway details. Each and every one of these pages is something that the manga's writers felt that you needed to know.
Yeah.
So it's strange at the very least to think that we need to know this weird little detail about fantasy world food preservation.
Yeah.
Unless it isn't really about the food preservation at all. You know, there's one other place in the Attack on Titan universe where we see that kind of unnatural preservation ability. In the bodies of the Titans themselves. When we find out Amir's backstory in episode 35, we see her turned into a Titan as punishment for leading a cult, being forced to spend decades out in the wilderness. Eventually, she gets completely buried in the dirt before Bertolt, Annie, and Reiner stumble up on top of her. But when she transforms back into a human, she somehow hasn't aged a day. Something within her Titan body preserved her perfectly for all of those years. In general, there's something preventing the bodies and minds of the human hosts from aging or decaying for years inside their transformed states. And the only thing we know with that property, which also conveniently would explain the Titans' lightweight and gassiness and their solar-powered physiology, is Walsina's miraculous, giant-sized yeast. So the next time you're baking bread, just make sure you eat it before it eats you. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory.
Wow.
And cut.
What's going on? What's going on? Oh. Why? So, yeast? I mean, fair enough. I was just like, what? And then he mentions the page in the manga which with the information, and it's like, oh. Because, yeah, it's always got something to do with something that's going on. So, damn. That was weird. That was really interesting. There we go. I didn't know where he was going with that, and then, pow, yeast. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What did you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if not already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys. It's all you guys next time.